William Barr, absolute mad lad. Have you watched any of the congressional hearing today, where basically Democrats harassed William Barr for a couple hours? He's the Attorney General, if you're not familiar. And that's all they did, is they just harassed him. It was like standing there having people accuse you of things and then not being able to defend yourself. That's what it was. Now, the Republicans did give him some time to respond. They were very much running defense in terms of, like, they were showing videos. They were presenting facts and evidence. Basically why the whole idea of questioning him was a sham in the first place. But if you kind of want to know what the narrative is that they're pushing, pretty much watch that hearing and you're going to hear the same media level of BS. And they don't want Barr to respond to it. So they cut him off. They reclaim their time. Which I'm not sure really why that's a thing. Because I think people have the right to defend themselves. Like, if you lay accusations at somebody in a courtroom at a hearing, like, don't you have a right to defend yourself or have... I don't know. I'm not sure how that works. I don't know why Congress people are so special, because they were a judge in a courtroom and an attorney was treating somebody like that and not letting them answer the question and just leading them and badgering them, they would have been thrown out. But if you're a member of Congress, you can do it, apparently. So, I mean, it's kind of funny. The, when Clinton's brought in and all these other people brought in, like, Peter Strzok and all these people during the Russia investigation were brought in, and the Republicans wanted to ask them questions. They wanted to have them answer. They couldn't get a straight answer from anybody. Even Robert Mueller was, like, bumbling. Or shit, he didn't want to answer, because the answers made, some very powerful people look bad. But as you get the opposite problem when a Republican witness is called, they don't want them to answer. They just badger them. They don't want to hear them answer. It's very strange. I've never seen it more blatant than over this whole Russia collusion bullshit, which now they're still going on about. None of it's true. None of it was true. None of it will ever be true, no matter how they try to will it into power. But man, you read comments from people online. I mean, it's like flat earther level of just disconnect. I mean, they really think that the president takes direction from Putin. They have, like, absolutely no idea how tough the president's been on Russia either. Like, that's the other part of it, is, like, not only was the whole collusion stuff completely debunked, because, the Mueller report pretty much completely debunked it, despite the Democrats in Congress saying, this doesn't do anything. This doesn't prove anything. Well, no, it does. It proves you guys basically used a salacious, I want to say fan fiction level Russian counterintelligence that was fed to a foreign spy and then sold back to the FBI, and none of it was verifiable. In fact, some of it was completely disprovable. Like, for instance, like time frames of when the president, at that time, private citizen Donald Trump was in different places, and the time frames didn't match up with reality. So, whoever wrote it didn't really do that that strong of a job anyway. But if they weren't supposed to, it just was make it salacious, make it plausible enough where, like, the whole piss tape thing, right? Everybody knows about the piss tape thing. Why do they know about the piss tape thing? Because it's ridiculous, and it sounds ridiculous. So, yeah, you got a mission in Fallout 5 pretending the piss tape's real. I think that's not going to age very well. Not Fallout 5, oh my gosh. Far Cry 5. I really liked that game. That mission, it was, first of all, it was a fetch, run around, and just, listen to some audio that, haha, so clever. Not very good. But also, like, it's not going to age well, because it just ended up not being a real thing. And it wasn't even like a satire. Like you'll find like stuff from like San Andreas and stuff where they have like a mission that's essentially a satire or some kind of current event, and then you see it and you're like, oh, I remember what they're referencing. In this case, it was just like straight up. They're like, yeah, so a powerful person, president, needs you to recover this thing from certain people, wrote the Russians, and they basically say it's the piss tape, and it's like that's. Can you guys at least wait till after the investigation's over before you kind of make like really assertive jokes about that? I mean, like, if you're gonna do that, then have one where you're like digging up like the bodies of people the Clintons have killed or something. Like, there's got to be another way to. It's just I don't know. It's like trying to be edgy and hip, and it's just a fantasy. I don't know. Whatever. That's a minor complaint. I really like Far Cry 5. I think a big problem with Far Cry 5, I think, was I don't think there was quite enough weapon selection, and I think the scaling of the power of the weapons was kind of a problem. For instance, the AR platform, I think they just called it the M4. It was a 16-inch AR, and I was like, okay, cool. But it was full auto from the beginning, and it's like, come on, like where's the semi-auto? And if you use it on semi-auto, because that's why I tried to do it first, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it like as if I, in real life, like here's 16-inch AR, semi-auto, and then you can't, like it just, it's terrible. Like you can't, one bullet doesn't do anything, even if you're shooting accurately, and. I don't know. That for me, it's like if they were kind of doing a survivalist kind of thing. It's like you guys probably should have consulted somebody actually from Montana on the kind of like rifles that exist and how you properly use them. I usually like it better in a game when not every game, because not every game fits this, but when it's more like not Counter-Strike levels of like one hit and you're dead kind of thing, but like the idea that like hitting the target with a decent round at a decent range in a decent place is what you're trying to do to put them to put the target down to get it to stop being a threat. And what they kind of end up doing in like Far Cry 5 is like you got to hit the guy 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, and if you don't get the headshot, and it's not even like a dude with body armor, like a regular guy, and it's like, come on, like 5.56 hits really hard. And then the problem is, and then you need so much ammunition that you end up just upgrading the stats until it's like not something you have to worry about. And you just upgrade your accuracy and upgrade your stuff until it's something you don't have to worry about, because you feel like you're handicapped until everything's maxed out. And then when everything's maxed out, you're kind of the Doom guy running around just spraying, and that kind of takes some of the sim element out of it. And not that I don't love Doom guy, but it's like that game's designed around that, as opposed to a game where you have to level up to get to that. Sometimes there's kind of a mix, like Vegas 2, Rainbow Six, that was like a mix. It had like a lot of really, really good guns and gunplay, and things felt like they hit really hard. But it still had that kind of like arcadey, really forgiving kind of Call of Duty laser beam aiming. Not as bad. But, sometimes... But the thing is, the whole game's built around that, as opposed to Far Cry, where it was kind of like... Like, when you're first starting off, everything's like really weak and terrible. And but like a bolt action's viable. But then once you get to the higher levels and once you start maxing things out, it's like there's absolutely no reason to use, the 44 Marlin lever action or something. And that's kind of because it no longer becomes like a challenge. It just becomes like, okay, I'm handicapping myself, and the gameplay is designed around, fast running around, shooting full auto. I don't know. Not the not ideal, I should say, for immersion. Other than that, that game was pretty cool though. Graphics were really good actually. It might have just been the color scheme, but like something about the lighting and the environment, like you just felt like you were walking through the woods in Montana. You know, PA's got woods. We got like Central, the state park and all that, and it's a similar kind of environment. That was definitely uniquely like the Rockies kind of area though. So that was pretty cool. I liked Hope County. I liked I actually really liked the bad guys, the cult. I thought that they were pretty interesting adversaries. They didn't get into any weird political representation stuff. Usually, that's when you get in troubles, when they start trying to like be smug about something. It's like they weren't like a far right cult or far left cult or anything. They just were kind of their own thing, but they functioned like a cult, and that was really interesting. And I don't know, Faith was a little annoying. I think the second, because I did play through it twice, because there's whatever the plus game, and the second time I fought her and beat her, it felt like I think she's basically just lying to you with all her backstory the whole time, and I think that's the point. Like, I think she's actually the most like psycho of all of them, because you've got John, who whatever power, yes, and he's just what's his deal? Whatever, he's got an ideology he's pushing, but a bit of a god complex. You've got the main guy, Joseph. He's like the spiritual center. He just comes off like a cult leader. He's convinced the end is nigh, and he's right, which is what I don't know. I didn't like that ending because I fell in love with the area, and then they just yoink it away from you. And I was like, oh, like, can't I get a happy ending to this freaking, like, you feel like you've like liberated this area, and then it's like, oh, all of it was pointless. It's a minor thing. I mean, it's spectacular, but I wish there was a way to avoid that. Well, I mean, a way to avoid that's satisfying, because there is the thing you can do where you turn around at the end, and then you leave, and you're basically going to go get the National Guard, but then that song comes on the radio, and it triggers your... It's a cool ending, but I feel like the big ending with the nukes and explosions and it's like, this is the place you fought so hard to save, and then it's just like the sky is falling at the end. And I mean, it does tip you off to that. Like, I did kind of see it coming, because if you listen to the radio as you're going, like, things keep getting progressively worse. And that was like another thing that was like, it felt more like a parody. So then when it like came into so when like the end finally did come, like, it was, I don't know, like, it just, I don't know, something about the setup just didn't feel quite right. It was cool though. I mean, I like the bunkers and the whole survivalist elements. The animals are way overpowered. Oh my god. I would have preferred less animals, them more dangerous, but having way less health. Like, if you shoot a bear in the head with a 5.56, it should go down. If you hit it with a 308 or something, like it should hobble and drop. Like, there should have been like some of that, but like, you end up having to use like an M60 to take down some of these animals, and it's kind of ridiculous, because then you're just using, what's the optimum human killing weapon that's also going to be the optimal animal killing weapon. I mean, it was kind of cool if you can blow them up, but then like you only get scraps. And that's kind of one of the again, it's like that the immersion of all the stuff was great, but then like when you have to do a quest where you got to get like 15 black bears or something, and you're like, oh god, like somebody doesn't hunt 15 black bears in their entire life, and that means when you see it, it's less special, and then it's only challenging because they're bullet sponges. That takes a lot of the magic out of it. So, and I turned it up to whatever the hell hard difficulty is because I was like, oh, I'm a veteran shooter. And it's crazy because it's like really hard in the beginning and you're like, wow, this game's freaking relentless. And you think you're missing a lot. And then you realize when you're later, it's like, no, I wasn't missing. It's just that these enemies like take like 25 hits to go down. I don't know, kind of silly. But whatever. Start talking about William Barr. End up talking about Far Cry. Whatever. That's my second video.